turning around and being stuck in a situation where they're going to sell out for money. And, it's not always a sellout of money. Sometimes you have to take it in the pocketbook to get your point across, and these corporations refuse to do that. Good. So we get a mixed signal to our youth because they always think it's about money and the brand, and it's not about that. And and you will see that as a theme on a lot of things that we talk about moving forward.
Good points, Bill. Good points, yeah.
And now I'm going to finish this. Nike did $30 to $40 billion. The NBA does $8 billion. All right, and the bottom line is if you follow the money, it's pretty simple to figure out how things are going to progress. Do you honestly think the NBA is going to pull out of China? No, they're going to stay right in there, and they're going to do whatever they got to do, all right, to keep that market going, because that's what supplies the money for their league, and they have to have their market expand, and that's what generates players' contracts. Okay, and this is what I'm talking about. The coaches shouldn't be talking politics to begin with.
Right.
I'm looking at Steve Kerr. I'm looking at Popovich.
Right.
And they've been slamming our country down here. Yet the minute they have to defend democracy in China, they don't do it.
Yeah, right.
So they're hypocrites. So the best thing to do is sometimes is not talk about that stuff. You're a basketball coach.
Right.
Coach basketball. Okay. Opinions are like sphincters. Everyone has one.
Right.
And in this market, we're politicizing everything. Okay, you got to be smart enough to know when to talk and when not to.
Well, don't forget Stan Van Gundy was a big one of those too. And also, so my question to you is this, Bill, okay? Nike, you said was a player in this. Do you think that Nike...
He is the player.
Right. So my question to you is this, Bill.
Read Jason Whitlock's column.
Okay.
I mean, it's just brilliantly written.
So my question to you is this, Bill, okay, with Nike being the player, what kind of a backlash do you think that Nike will do to punish the NBA, if any?
Well, they're not going to punish the NBA. We're just going to look like we're hypocrites.
Okay.
And we say one thing and do another when it comes to money.
But when it comes to endorsement deals, let me give you an example. If somebody does something that they shouldn't be doing, it's one thing that endorsement deals get pulled from athletes. You follow where I'm going with this? So let's talk about now you've got Nike as an endorser for the NBA. Do you think there'll be any backlash from Nike towards the NBA?
Backlash?
Yeah.
Not really. Nike. Here's the thing you got to understand. Nike, even when they're doing that calling, they don't care about any agenda.
Right.
Except making money.
Right.
Do you honestly think Nike supports Colin Kaepernick? They don't care one way or the other. I remember watching a show, and they had a Nike representative pretty much saying that. They're in the business of selling sneakers.
Right.
Okay? And the more products they can sell. All right? So they're not going to sit there and backlash the NBA because that'll hurt their revenues.
Okay, that's fair. All right. Whereas as if an athlete were to do something stupid, they don't care because they got 9 million shoe lines. You can get rid of a bad egg, but you can't really get rid of a corporation like this. Is that what you're trying to tell me?
There are Chinese sneaker companies that already are considering taking their shoe deals away from the lower echelon NBA players because of this.
Okay.
The amount of money that's going to go down the toilet because of this tweet, which should have never been tweeted to begin with.
Right.
You're a general manager of a professional basketball team. You're not a politician. Okay, you have no business saying your voice. All right, you should be saying it off social media. Okay, you represent a sports organization. Now the amount of money that's been lost, if I was him, I wouldn't send another tweet as long as I lived.
Yeah, right. No, I hear you. No, it makes sense. Okay.
This is what happens when you have people, I hate to say this is the Charles Barkley coming out on me, the analytics and all this other stuff. It's just one aspect of breaking down something. Like Frank Wright from the Indianapolis Colts. He uses analytics to decide whether he's going to go on it at 4th and 1. And they give you the distance, they give you your field position, and he basically uses that. That's the only reason he uses for analytics to decide whether he's going to go for it on 4th down or not. I think he's something like 5 for 5. it's good. But when you start using that for everything, you become a one-trick pony, and sometimes it doesn't pass the eyeball test.
True. Well, another guy that actually went ahead used social media the wrong way, staying in the same sport, was Brian Colangelo, and he hadn't gotten a job since. And his dad, Jerry Colangelo, is the most respected basketball guy on the planet. So that further validates your point. So, all right, we spent some
here are the people that have been hit with social media. RG3, Johnny Manziel.
Right.
The new kid on the block now is the quarterback from Cleveland, Baker Mayfield.
Right.
And what happens is they make these small issues that no one would even bother to make a big deal about 20 years ago. Now it's just out there to generate revenue. Okay? And, at the point where, it's almost embarrassing.
Right.
Okay? I mean, look what's going on at Penn State. I'm sitting here and a player receives a letter from a fan, okay, that sits there, and all of a sudden they want to throw a racial overtone in it. Okay, and I'm sitting back and going, look, a guy graduated from Penn State in '66. Okay, he doesn't like 2-3 feet of hair hanging out of a helmet. I personally don't care one way or the other. Okay, if I've been a coach and won a state title, I would tell my kid is, okay, that's great, but I hope you're not going to get pulled down from behind after you're running with a winning score and we lose a game because you have long hair. So, you have a clash of individualism, people trying to make a name for themselves,
right,
accelerating their brand through social media and forgetting the concept of team, the concept of organizations,
right,
concept of country, okay? And it's only getting worse out there because now we have young players playing in pro sports, and all they want to do is establish their brand.
Right.
Some know how to do it, some are so ridiculously, they ought to go to school and be taught how to just have common sense.
True.
Because a lot of times they don't have common sense. So this is what we're dealing with, okay? And this is one of the things that's going to be great about our show. It's all about love. Mm-hmm. It's all about trying to make people understand
right,
that this is one of the greatest country in the world. And right now we're kind of looking like a bunch of knuckleheads because we don't realize how badly we're being manipulated by the East through social media.
Right.
Okay, the Democrat and the communist countries for years their agenda has been forever, okay, is to annihilate the West by making us out to be racist and infidels and everything else. And this is the greatest country in the world and gives more people more opportunities than you could ever imagine relative to the rest of the world while they're covering up their own inhumane treatment of their own people. Doesn't matter whether it's Joseph Stalin in communist Russia, okay, whether it's Mao Zedong in China, and up to speed today. All right, and so hopefully people will start to take a look at the bigger picture, okay, and stop buying and think for themselves on some of these issues that we come together because right now they have a vested interest in dividing us through social media, and we have a lot of people that are taking the bait.
Right.
And part of the problem is it that people get, if you put something out there and then people are going to pay attention, then you can monetize it. Right. So you have some people who are team players. You have some people it's all about themselves, right, and it starts to become very dysfunctional. And I have a really true belief that our youngsters are going to be able to figure it out. All right, and we're all going to come together and start to realize that we shouldn't be overreacting to this kind of stuff, and we need to chill a little bit and spend a little bit more love and a little bit more communication and come together and get the stuff solved for everyone.
Okay.
That's what makes our country great. But right now, we're kind of redlining a little bit.
I agree. All right, let's go on to a few other things, okay? And I know you were dancing around a few of them, so now we're going to actually do the Texas two-step and get to those topics. Let's talk about the inmates running the asylum. I know you were kind of going with it a little, so now I'm going to ask you a few questions, and I'll have you comment on them, okay? You were talking about the players that don't act right. They're building, like you say, a brand, and that they have no concept of team. Obviously, you cited Baker Mayfield, and it's all about entertainment. So now you have an opportunity to go ahead and elaborate on that a little bit more, Bill.
Well, the thing that first comes to mind, is Antonio Brown. Okay? I mean, no disrespect, the guy needs some lessons on social media.
You think?
Okay, you don't stand there when you're with the Pittsburgh Steelers, sit with your phone, filming everything at halftime of a playoff game to the point where your head coach has to sit there and go, you ever do this again? And you just get to a point where, he's
Right, I'm sure. You think of a lot of things that would have happened 30 years ago.
Yeah. It all starts at the top.
Right.
Look at the Redskins. The Redskins are an absolute mess. I played for the Redskins. One of the best organizations ever. They gave me my start in pro football. All right? And you look at an organization that had older players. They didn't even believe in draft choices. They went with older players because they had experience and they wouldn't make mistakes like this.
Right.
All right? And you had a history. You knew about the guys that came behind you. All right? Some of these youngsters, I watched some of these, I was watching Hard Knocks. It was Coach O'Brien. Said, who's this? They didn't know who it was. And I'm sitting here going, how can you even play the game when you don't know who your coaches are or who Jim Brown was or anything else? So right away, there's gaps, okay, because people don't know the history and don't understand what other people have done to put them where they're at.
Right.
So they have a little disrespect for the game. All right, then you have social media. Now they're building the brand.
Right.
All right, so, no disrespect intended. You have another player wearing a watch while he's playing football. Okay, and then, I saw something on Facebook. He's warming up in the end zone, breakdancing like he's Michael Jackson, and he gets hit in the head with a helmet, with a ball in the helmet. He looked like a 5-year-old out there. Wide receiver, focus on the game. Do what you're supposed to do. You give up yourself when you step onto that field. And unfortunately, today we have guys that are individuals masquerading as teammates. That's all they do is talk. And we have an expression, don't talk about it, be about it.
Right. That's true. Well, now that you talked about the Washington Redskins, let's go to that organization, Bill. All right? Dan Snyder constantly meddling. You got Dwayne Haskins there. And you mentioned, why would Mike Tomlin want to leave a stable organization like the Steelers to go with an unstable situation with the Redskins? And I know that Haskins has been whining that he should have been drafted higher. So what are your thoughts about all of that?
Well, here's the first thing, okay? I'm starting to call ESPN the Extra Stupid Programming Network. Because just like the things we talked about, and I knew those guys when they were first starting out with a satellite dish up in Bristol. Okay, so I've kind of grown up with those boys.
Right.
Okay, and I know a couple of them, and the reality of it is, it's real simple. Okay, when you're a rookie, you should be quiet until you get in the field because college is completely different than the pro game. And for a guy to sit there and think after playing 1 year at Ohio State that he can run his mouth like that, right away I'm sitting there going, I wouldn't have drafted a kid based on, I'm a Parcells kind of guy. I want to see a body of work. I want to see 4 years. I want to see what he did in high school. I don't want to see 1 year of playing on a team loaded with Joey Bosa's, okay, which make anybody look good, and then all of a sudden go to an organization and expect the youngster to be mature enough to lead and put him in there like he's going to be Babe Ruth. It's not going to happen.
Right.
And this is what the young kids don't understand. All right. So the first thing is that and then he's sitting there running his mouth about how you should be glad that you got drafted in the first round. Now you're sitting here talking about how you should have gotten drafted higher.
Right.
Well, no disrespect to 10, you have people who sit there and watch hours and hours and hours of film. Then you have another guy who played in the league who knows nothing about offense, is a defensive guy, talking about a guy who is probably one of the best players in the draft, who still got to prove it. Danny Dimes, all right, the quarterback for the Giants. And the reality, he's still a rookie. But at least he was smart enough to keep his mouth shut.
Right.
So, you have a bunch of youngsters that need a little crash course, okay, on how to be a pro.
Right.
And then you have an organization, you have an owner that hasn't been able to get his act right since the day he bought the ball club.
Right.